such sights to show you. I have pain. Far with crown, I with Kennybug.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Yes, indeed. Here we are. Welcome once again to When Your Geek is Showing. We are coming to you live from Old Town Detroit, I guess. So, with me as usual is the Queen of Mean. Here she is, Miss Violet Simples.
Hello, my sweet tortured souls, and welcome back to another goth-filled episode of Hun, Your Geek is Showing.
Gothfield?
Yes.
Yeah, I suppose so.
It's a cat, but it's a goth-field.
Yeah, all right, yeah, I like it. We'll go with that. Write it down. Oh,
goth.
shit, no, we can't. We're on strike.
Carry on.
Regardless. Yeah, so this, before we get into tonight's subject class, what you been watching this week, mate?
Well, this week I have finished watching Big Bang Theory with my daughter for the umpteenth time. Finally got through it. But just like every time I watch it, that final bit in that final episode, yeah, I had to go and get a hanky. It was just every damn time. Don't shush you. But segueing from that, because she did appear in that final scene in that episode, I finally got my daughter to start watching Buffy.
Yay!
It's a many times rewatch for me, but it's very good for me seeing someone of her age kind of getting into it around about the same kind of age that I kind of got into it.
Yeah.
97, 98, that kind of time frame, 14, 15. And it's like she slowly got into it because, as I said to it, it's first season is 12 episodes and it kind of condenses the story a bit. There's not much character growth. It's not until season 2 that things start to open up and get a bit more in depth.
Will be, yeah.
Yeah. So we've been watching that, and we finally got round to watching the absolute masterpiece, 10 out of 10 in my personal opinion, Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah, nice.
Absolutely loved it. I will save all of my gushingness for that for its own episode. I think Ghostbusters as a franchise needs its own episode.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ages ago.
I loved all, and I said this to my daughter after we finished watching it. I was like, I love all the, not the in-your-face callbacks, but the subtle ones, the things you spot in the background, little items here and there that are just dotted about. You're like, oh, that's from that bit, and that's from that. Yeah, it's an Easter egg hunt-a-thon, and I love it for that. And the musical score, the musical cues from the original ones, they're all there for me. So, but yeah, 10 out of 10, love it. What you been watching, Guy?
I have been. What have I been watching? Well, not much because I went on holiday.
Well, you were watching the world go by. That's what you were doing on holiday.
Yes, but thank you. The adjudicator has spoken. Good Omens 2.
Oh, I've not seen that yet.
That's very good. Well, you haven't got Prime, have you, son?
I know. I'm behind on my subscription services. Maybe when I'm out of this hellhole and in a different hellhole, I'll have some more free money to be able to pay for such things.
Perhaps so.
Mm-hmm.
That would be good. But yeah, that was really cool. Tenant on fine form. Ditto. Michael Sheen. Thank you.
Michael Sheen, but not related to Charlie. That's how I always remember it.
Yes. But, cracking series. If you watch, I guess, viewers, if you watch the first series and you haven't watched this, watch it. And plus, fact, Tenant in this is so doctory.
Oh, I bet. I've seen little clips of it.
You can just tell he is limbering up.
The one clip I have seen that really kind of got my attention was like, I kind of want to see this is, I think it's from the first season where they're at Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
I've seen that scene on TikTok and it cracks me up every time every time I see it.
Yeah, it's full of those.
Oh, the unicorn's running off. Oh, it's all right. One of them will be all right with one. So yeah, I do want to see it, but recommendation from Guy. Good Omens
There
2.
you go. I also watched. Well, I started watching a little. Oh, thank you. Thank you. The adjudicator has spoken once again, folks. I also watched A Man Called Otto. It's not particularly geeky, but it's a bloody brilliant film, so watch it.
Oh, may
Tom
have to.
Hanks being awesome. I don't think that bloke can do a shit film, to be honest.
Well, there you go then. Another recommendation from the random mad.
And finally, on Disney Plus, a series called Light and Magic.
Oh,
That's worth a watch.
is that about Industrial Light and Magic by any chance?
Yes, it is.
I will
It
check it
is.
out because you know I love my special effects. So
Yeah,
check
it
that
is
out.
really well. You will just love it.
I forgot one.
Oh,
Maybe this is sentiment to how much it fumbled the ball.
mm,
I finished watching Secret Invasion.
yes.
It did the same mistake that She-Hulk made. It started strong and it ran off a cliff with the ball.
Did a bit.
It
I mean,
really, I did not like the ending. It became another CGI bullshit fist fight. I wasn't in. By the time it got to the ending, I was just like, oh, okay.
yeah, there's been a lot of people saying that.
Like I'd say the first four episodes I really
Mm,
enjoyed. The
yeah,
last two just fell off a cliff. I was praising it the last time we spoke about it as well of how much I was
yeah,
enjoying
so
it.
was I.
But then final two episodes and that final fight just no,
Mm.
no.
I did enjoy Olivia Colman in it though. She was great for that.
To be honest, if she pops up in the MCU going forward, I'll find her character entertaining because she was the best, one of the best parts of the show, in my
Yeah,
opinion. So if we see that character pop up again, great. But
yeah.
it went down like a flan in a cupboard. Or a
No one need an effect. No one need a sound effect of like a balloon losing air.
yeah, that's pretty much what Secret Invasion was. But anyway, continuing.
Yes. So then tonight, so I guess that's it.
Um,
All right. Good night, everybody. See you.
yep, see you next week.
Yeah.
No, you
No.
don't get off that easily.
Mm.
Especially a certain Mr. Tony Harris. We have a pineapple with your name on it.
Yeah, we do.
Mm-hmm.
You
On
know.
that subject, guy.
Yes. So tonight we're going to talk about that coffee classic way back in 1994, The
Mhm.
Crow.
Oh, I've waited a while for this one.
I'll bet you have
Oh, where do we begin? I think we should
at the beginning.
probably begin like we do with all things at the beginning and how we both came across this wonderful little gem. Would you like to go first?
Hi, I saw it at the cinema.
You lucky fuck. I was only 10. I was not allowed. I had to wait for the home video release. Wrong instrument,
Oh,
wrong tune. I don't care.
you missed a treat, Harvard.
I know it's
All
one
that
of those films.
jam band on the big screen.
It's one of those films that I wish they would re-release in a cinema.
Mm, yeah.
Because there's so many good films out there that are now kind of hitting there. Because I didn't realize in this until I watched it earlier that next year The Crow is 30 years old. I remember when everybody was making a big fuss about Aliens
Mm,
being 30 years old, and I'm like, oh my God,
yeah.
I'm getting older. But I think it's films like that on their big anniversaries, like 30th, should be released as for even just for a month, for the month
Mm,
of their original release, be put back into the cinema so that people like myself who didn't get that chance first time around to see it on the big screen with the surround sound and everything closest I got today was sitting really close to my TV with my headphones on. No word for lie. I actually did. I actually did do that.
Why?
Because they're 3D stereo sound headphones. They make it sound like surround sound. So I just got
Oh,
close enough to the TV that it was like I was at the cinema. But yeah, back to the original point. Tangent alert there.
yeah.
I think that more films should be re-released in the cinema on their anniversaries so that people
Mm,
didn't get the chance the first time around can get to see it and get to see why people who did, like yourself, saw it the first time around, why it's such a special place in your heart, more so than when you saw it the first time ever.
yeah.
But continuing.
But yeah, I mean, stellar thought of force performance by Brandon Lee.
And unfortunately, his final, but we will talk about that
Yes.
later.
Moving on from that. Also, Ernie Hudson. I really enjoyed Ernie Hudson in this.
Yeah, one thing that I kind of missed, or I don't know whether I missed it or it's just because it's such an enjoyable film, you don't notice it. Ernie Hudson is actually the first character you see in the film. His
Yeah.
character is the first one you see in the film because it zooms in onto the window and he's
Officer
stood there
Albrecht.
looking out the window. And I was like, oh, yeah. I mean, I remembered Ernie Hudson was in it, but I didn't remember that the first person you see in that film is him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but Ernie Hudson, yeah, absolutely amazing part. Absolutely amazing. I watched the special features and if you can get hold of the 2 disc edition of the film,
Mm.
there's featurettes and stuff with some brilliant interviews with like Tony Todd, Brandon Lee,
Mm.
most of the other cast, and it's just
Yeah. Again, another great performance by Michael Wincott.
oh, I was
That
actually going
bloke
to comment
class.
on that. I think he's one of those actors that if you need a believably evil bad guy, not just a bad guy, but I mean an actual like they enjoy being the bad guy bad.
Yeah.
Go to him.
Yeah. But then again, I saw him, I think it was a couple of years earlier, maybe in The Doors. He wasn't playing a bad guy, he was playing Paul Rothschild, The Doors' producer. And he was equally brilliant in that. He's on one of these, he can't do a shit role.
See, I remember him from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yes.
Because
Guy
he's the
Gisborne.
one who says to Alan Rickman, why dig his heart out with a spoon? Why not something sharp like a knife? Because it's dull, it'll hurt more.
My wife just said that along with you. We have audience participation.
Great minds think alike. That's all I can say.
Yes, he played Guy Gisborne.
Yes, he
That's
did.
what
He
you
did.
said.
Yes.
That's the one you were going for.
That's the one I
Anyway,
put.
there's another tangent, folks.
Yeah, sorry. Back on track. The Crow. Tony
Yes.
Todd.
Tony Todd, yes.
Always amazing, Tony Todd. Always.
Mm.
I loved him in Candyman. I love him in the Final Destination films. One of my all-time favorites of his is actually the Night of the Living Dead remake
Oh,
by Tom Savini, his directing debut.
yeah.
May have to talk about that one on an episode at some point.
Yeah.
We never know. We never know around here.
We
But
don't.
yeah, I suppose we should get into the story, the opening
Yes.
set in Devil's Night.
Yes, which is the night before Halloween.
Yes, for those of you who don't know, in the lore of the film, it is the night before Halloween where several hundred arson attacks happen.
Yes.
So, and I will say this, watching it again today, I literally watched it today, right before, before doing all of this. I forgot how powerful and impactful and dark as all hell those first 5 minutes are.
Yeah, they are
Like
dark as shit.
you are walking in on the aftermath of something. You don't know what until they start, doing the exposition thing, but they start
Yeah.
going through what's happening. And you're just sat there. If you've never seen it for the first time watching it, you're sat there hearing all of this, and you're just like,
The
it's like
fuck?
one punch after another, just like,
Mm.
holy hell. And then it jumps forward a year.
Mm.
And That's when everything really starts to get magical.
So basically, Eric and his other half are attacked in their house.
Yes, they were fighting tenant eviction.
Yes, so of course, hoodlums arrive.
Yep,
They kill
Freebird and his
Eric.
gang.
Yeah, they kill Eric. They beat and rape Shelley, wasn't it?
Yes, Shelley Webster and Eric Draven. They were due to be married on Halloween.
Yep. And of course, a year goes by, doesn't it?
Yes, it's 1 year later. Yeah.
1 year later, and a crow arrives and resurrects Eric Draven. And then
Yes.
all hell breaks loose.
Yes. And the one thing I love about that scene, especially, I'm a big I when your geek is showing, please in the fucking name, right? I'm a big geek.
Yeah.
There's a scene. There's on one of the featurettes. There's a bit where Eric Draven is talking about, not Eric Draven. Brendan Lee's talking about the character of Eric Draven being brought back,
Mm,
and he's like, "You tell me how a person who's come back from the dead is supposed to behave."
mm,
And when you know that was his mindset when he was playing the part, it makes the character a lot deeper because it's like, how would you behave if you came back from the dead a year after you died for 2 days and had to kind of process that? How would you?
yeah.
You know, you can't say how does a person act? What's my mindset going into this part? You're so open, you can do literally anything with it, and it can be taken as, well, yeah, he's just come back from the dead. But yeah, powerful imagery, him literally pulling himself up out of his own grave.
Yeah.
Like, and Brendan Lee, again, we will be saying this a lot tonight, fantastically portrayed that
Oh God, yeah.
moment. It still hits hard now. I've seen the film several times over the years, and
Mm,
it still, to this day, hits me hard seeing him go through that. It's
mm.
powerful stuff, very powerful stuff.
Oh God, yeah. Totally.
Yes. So what I wrote down for I'm just checking my notes.
Yeah. I do have trivia if you need me to fill.
I can do some trivia too. I put for that
Mm,
bit waking up dead. We just covered that bit. Like, what would it be
mm.
like to wake up from the dead? Um, we'll talk about this now because this could be one hell of a fucking tangent. And I know, Guy, you want to talk about this. The music.
Um,
And not just the music. I'm a big fan of musical scores. We talked about this during Hellraiser episodes.
yeah.
I like the actual musical scores from films as well. And both
Mm,
of these are top notch. Boom. Like, you can put them on the the soundtrack album with the actual tracks. Guy, I'm sure you know these tracks. Go for it.
yeah. Oh, we've got everyone from Nine Inch Nails doing a cover of Dead Souls by Joy Division.
I
We've got
love that song.
we've got Stone Temple Pilots. We've got Pantera. We've got My Life with the Thrill Kill Cult, which
Mhm.
I think is one of the best tracks on the album. Crap, I can't remember the name of who did it, but Time Baby Free is the penultimate track.
Yeah.
I loved it. That's a great song. And there's all sorts. There's the aforementioned Cure.
Sure, Burn. That song, I think,
Mm,
it is so synonymous with The Crow. Like, it just, mm.
mm.
I hear that and I instantly think The Crow. There's certain songs on there you could listen to them and think of other things, but that one is so quintessential The Crow.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those. The soundtrack just sold and sold and sold. Everyone I know had that.
Yeah,
Geek or not geek, everyone I know
I
had
had
that
it. I had it.
soundtrack.
I went through a period in my early teens of buying horror movie or movie
Mm,
soundtracks if I come across them. I had things like Spawn, Blade, The Crow, Bride of
mm.
Chucky, Freddy versus Jason. I went through this period of just if there was
Judgment
movies,
Night is another. notable.
Yes, yes. And the on the actual musical score side of things, for
Mm.
me, the one that always will always stand out is those guitar solos.
Yeah, yeah.
Just it gets, I don't know what it is, just something about it just fires me up every time I hear it. I'm like, and
Mm.
I guess that's what the intent was, for to feel like the character is gearing up to go for this one last thing,
Mm.
one last person he needs to get,
Yeah,
because it's that scene in the movie. We'll get there. We'll get there.
you get that.
I'm looking at my notes and I'm like, I can't even
Don't
read
know.
half of this.
Yeah, I
Right.
did have some notes, but due to technical difficulties, I don't have access to them.
Okay, right. So we'll jump a little bit forward. One of my personal, it's kind of a favorite scene for me because I don't know how to put this into words really. It's almost like the character's going through PTSD for a certain extent of it.
Mm.
He comes out of his grave, he's led by the crow back to where he used to live, kind of rediscovering his life again. And when he walks into that apartment, he gets these flashes, like psychic
Mm.
things hitting him that are causing physical pain of what happened to him. And he's reliving it all over again. And I'm just there kind of going, that's kind of like what PTSD can be like for some people. You walk into a place and
Mm.
you just lock up. And watching it again recently, it kind of hit me differently than it did when I was younger because, life experience.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that this film, whether it was intentional or not, does kind of portray those sorts of feelings
Mm.
very, very well. And I love how in those scenes as well that the real world is very monotone, very washed out, very almost black and white, but
Yeah.
hints of color still there. But then these flashbacks are vibrant and bright and violent and aggressive. And it's like, oh shit, kind of hits
Mhm.
different. But yeah. And for me, it ends with that iconic scene where he swings himself out the window
Yeah.
and then back in and looks at his hands.
Yeah.
Like, it's at that moment you go, oh, hello,
Yeah, we got powers.
what's going on here a little bit?
Mm.
For a first time viewer, you're like, hold on, if he's a zombie or whatever the fuck he's meant to be, how can he do that? And
Mm. Yes, those of you who don't know, he has regenerative powers.
yeah,
Regenerative. Regenerative.
regenerative, yes, that's the word you were looking for, my dear.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he due to the being brought back by the crow, he can heal wounds and stuff, which
Mm.
I think
Yeah.
was in comics. I think I'm not.
I don't know. I've never read the comics. So
It's
it's one
been
of those
a
things.
very, very, very long time since I've read the comics, and the only one that I can really remember reading, because I read it 3 or 4 times before I took it back to the library, was
Mm.
The Crow, Flesh and Blood.
Yeah.
And in that one, instead of healing, they kind of had to staple themselves back up.
All right.
Like if they got shot, they kind of had to stitch it up, and if they got cut open, they had to staple it. And they had a time limit. It was like the more injured you get, the faster you're going to rot, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether that was the same in all of the books, but in that particular one, it
Yeah.
was. But yeah, it was part of the film, and it led to some quite funny scenes.
Yes, it did.
The bit with the hand.
Mm. Yeah. Yes, we'll try not to spoil too much, folks,
Yes,
because there may be people who've not seen this.
that's true. I have to remember this that it's because it's still such a popular thing.
Yeah.
It definitely ingrained itself in pop culture. We'll talk about legacy kind of stuff with it in a little
Mm.
bit, I think.
Well, let's not go scene by scene because
No, no, no. But the one thing I will say, jumping forward, it's kind of a scene thing. When he comes across his first person that he's after, and he says that one really, really quotable line that most fans will know is victims, aren't we all?
Mm.
I love that line. I have even said that in some of my cosplay stuff that I do. You know, victims, aren't we all? It just oh, getting hot thinking about it.
Well, cool yourself off.
I'm trying to. I'm reading my notes. Right. Going a little bit forward, we have the big ass shootout
Mm.
at the nightclub after he's picked them off one by one.
Yeah.
We have the big ass shootout at the nightclub, and we'll go with your thoughts on that one first while I kind of formulate what I want to say because I'm
Well,
taking over here a little bit.
it's all right. I don't mind.
Carry on.
Yeah, that is a pivotal scene. Again, brilliantly soundtracked by My Life with the Thrill Kill. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Um, whoa. When it comes to shootouts, there's not many better than this. I
Oh,
don't think.
definitely not. Definitely not. Um, again, rewatching it today, and I suppose this kind of goes for a lot of the fight scenes that are in this film.
Mm.
But this shootout in the nightclub, more so specifically for me, as a fan of that old school way of make shooting a fight sequence.
Yeah.
It's not all this shaky cam bullshit, and it's not all getting up right close on the actors. It's camera in one position. The actors are dancing in
Yeah.
front of camera essentially. This film is very true to that, and I think that screams out more to Brandon Lee and his lineage with his father Bruce.
Mm.
Fight scenes are done a certain way, so you can see what's going on and you get it all. And I love the way that every punch, every kick, every move that he does is seamlessly tied together. It's not like he's
Mm.
following a choreograph. It's he's doing what you would see someone in a fight naturally do of that situation. He's going from target to target to target and moving as he's going.
Yeah.
It works. It's fluid and it's fast. And the editing, the soundtrack, the everything about it. The one bit that stands out in my head is where he gets shot off the table, lands on the floor. They go looking for him, and then it's almost horror movie-esque. Like people start getting dragged
Mm.
under the table.
Yeah.
I was like, that's like some out of Alien all of a sudden, like
Yeah.
just
That's class.
seeing people disappear, like getting pulled under. It's like, I like that. Like,
Mm.
just out of nowhere, almost horror film moment of, ah, I'm gone.
Yeah. And
Oh,
again, love that bit of dialogue. He's like, I just want him. Michael Wincott's well, you can't have him.
oh,
Just
yeah,
in that,
Tintin
that
can't be here
accent.
tonight. He's suffering a slight case of death.
Mm.
That for a very long time in my college years, that was our go-to thing. Like, oh, why isn't
Mm.
such and such at this party? Oh, they're suffering a slight case of death.
It's
Yeah, it
it's
was a great
quotable.
reference.
You know, a great film is a quotable film, and it's a very quotable film.
Oh, definitely. I mean, one of my favorite lines, and it's for kind of very deep personal reasons. I'm not going to go into it,
Mm.
but it's the line where he sat with Ernie Hudson's character,
Officer Albrecht.
Officer Albright. Yeah, he sat with him, and he says, "Little things used to mean so much to Shelley.
Mm.
I always thought they were kind of trivial. Believe me, nothing is trivial."
Yeah.
And I was again not going into it, but I was going through something the first time I saw
Mm.
this film, and when I heard that, it got
Mm.
locked in the old brain somewhere, and I'm like, yeah, that is true. Nothing is trivial. Never treat anything like it's trivial. So, but yeah, again, quotable lines, but that one really did stick with me.
Mm. See, there you go, folks.
See, it's not just an action superhero comic book film. It's an onion. To quote
It,
Shrek, it's an onion. There are layers.
yeah, it's got pathos as well as action.
Yeah,
You
I
know, it's got,
noticed today again on a rewatch how beautiful some of the cinematography is. Just the
mm, yeah,
establishing wide shots of this is where we are.
mm,
You know, it was when it was even when it was just doing those, it's like again being slightly gothic like I am, that goth aesthetic of the blacks and the greys and the blues,
yeah,
reds and browns, it's all just done so well. It's almost like an art house movie at times with some of its establishing
yeah,
shots. It's very like, and it never directly says where it's set either. I mean, it's hinted that it's Detroit, but it might not be.
yeah.
It's one of those, it's set here, but it's not, but it is, but it's not. Like the second one, City of Angels. We'll get to that. Our friend, the Ginger Ninja, Mr. JK, wants us to talk
Mm.
about that one. Yes, I forgot we had shout outs over here. Sorry, we forgot the shout outs, everyone.
We'll do the shout outs at the end. Don't you worry.
Yeah, that way you've got to sit through the episode to hear your own name. Oh, I love to make people suffer. What can I say? Anyway,
Oh,
moving
don't I
on,
know?
moving on.
Got you.
I suppose we'll kind of wrap the little bit of the film up. We get to the end of the film. We're not going to spoil the end.
No, we're not.
We're not going to spoil the film. We're not going to spoil the ending. All I will say is that, again, like we just said, for a comic book action
Mm,
movie, have your hankies at the ready, is all we're going to say.
yeah.
You need them. So there we go. But I think with wrapping the film up there, we'll quickly talk about the legacy of the first film in particular before we talk about the
Yeah.
sequels.
Because let's face it, there was going to be sequels because a 23 million budgeted film that takes in 94 worldwide is going to get a sequel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But, and I've raised this question a couple of times with people, right? And it's kind of a little bit of a taboo question, really. Given that comic book movies at the time were seen as, apart from the Batman, they were seen more of like a kids kind of thing, right?
Mm,
It wasn't really until Blade 97 that Hollywood really
mm,
started taking notice of like, oh, comic book films can be for grown-ups too. I sometimes think that if maybe the accident hadn't have happened and Brandon Lee was still with us,
mm.
would the film have been, I think fan-wise it would have been just as successful, but I don't think it would have been successful box office wise.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those, I think it would have had the same popularity as it does now, but it would have been slower over time.
Mm. Yeah, it would have been even more of a cult.
Yeah, it'd be more of a cult classic than a
Yeah.
phenomenon that it is now. That's my personal feeling. I don't like to think it, I don't like to say it all the time because it's like it is a good film in its own right. But like I said, at the time, 1994,
Yeah.
we were only 5 years out from Batman and 3 years away from Blade. We had to
Yeah.
suffer through Spawn before we got to Blade. No, the Spawn films just don't. Save yourself an hour. Don't. In fact, a more enjoyable time than watching that Spawn film would be to wash your eyeballs in bleach and then clean them with a blender.
Mm. Shite.
It is. I've seen the director's cut as well, and it's not much better. Although the HBO series, tangent, sorry, the HBO series, go and watch it. It's fucking awesome.
There you go.
Anyway, back to the Crow.
Mm.
The legacy of it. I think the fact that we're still talking about it now,
Yeah.
30 years later, I think
Goes to
that
show.
shows everything, really.
Yeah, got to be. I think, if it's 30-year anniversary coming up, then I think we need a 4K release.
Mm. Yes, with all the deleted scenes they can find and everything all tidied up and polished and everything. Because there is, I didn't really want to go into this too much because I don't really know the full story behind it, but famous horror actor Michael Barryman
Mm.
was hired to play a character called the Skull
Yeah,
Cowboy, who was sort of going to be a guide for Eric.
yeah, he appears in the comic apparently.
Yeah, he does appear in the comic, but apparently he got cut for
Mm.
reasons unknown. And I heard kind of an urban myth, urban rumor kind of thing. I think it's since been disproven, but apparently they shot a scene with him outside the church. You know, the scene as he's approaching the church and it cuts to them
Mm.
inside the church.
Yeah.
Supposed to be a bit with the cowboy saying that if you go in here, you will die. And then the next day they filmed the scene where Brandon Lee tragically got shot.
Mm.
And a lot of like superstitious people were like, "Oh, well, we need to take that out of the film because it's like a portent of real events." Like,
Yeah.
I think it's since been disproven that that's not the case. From my personal understanding and from what I've seen research wise, films are shot out of order. They shot
Yeah.
everything with him in makeup first and everything out of makeup last.
Yeah.
And he actually got shot during the scene where he's being pulled up like that
Mm.
at the beginning bit in the apartment.
Yeah.
Actually, that bit where it happened, where the accident happened, it's in that set of
Mm.
scenes. Apparently, it's not. I'm not saying it's concrete. I don't know 100%. It's what I found from online research. Okay, don't come at me in the comments. But that apparently that's why it was removed. That's one of the reasons. But I'm not 100%. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's only so much research you can do before you start going down a rabbit hole of conspiracy theories and you get lost and then you come out with a fetish for masks and horns.
Mhm.
But anyway, yeah, so your thoughts on the legacy of it, Guy?
Oh, it just continues, doesn't it? It's like a shadow
Well,
over the geekdom.
yeah, I mean, there's
A
still
really lovely
merchandise
shadow.
coming out for it even now. There's still action figures and
Yeah.
t-shirts and posters,
Posters.
everything. It
Mm.
it's got a lasting thing. Again, that
That's a
may be
long
down
shadow.
to it's a lot. It does cast a long fucking shadow. You're very very right there. But I think a lot of that is again to do with the passing of Brendan Lee and the connection to the film.
Yeah.
And I think it's in a way it's all kind of slightly poignant that we remember the actor who died bringing a character to life that so many people in a way can relate to because we've all had that moment where we've been hurt and we've been wronged and
Mm.
we want justice.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people worse off than others. And there's many a time, I'm sure people have watched a film like that and gone, if it wasn't going to kill me and I weren't getting arrested, I'd go out and do it. But watching
Mm.
something like that, it's kind of a release for that feeling.
Yeah.
And live vicariously through a fantasy. Just don't try
Yeah.
and live out the fantasy. Don't do it in reverse. Don't watch something and get inspired. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Watch
Don't do
something
this
to let
about
it
it.
out.
Mm.
So I play Grand Theft Auto. Doesn't mean I'm going to go stealing cars and shooting people. You
No.
know.
But hey,
Right
it could
then.
have gone so
Hmm?
wrong. It could have gone so wrong.
It could have.
Because
It.
apparently, the first time the writers pitched this film to an unnamed studio, they said yeah, that sounds like a great idea. We could do it as a musical and cast Michael Jackson in the lead role. Really?
Oh, please don't.
Oh. Well,
Please.
the writers turned that down.
Yes. One little bit of trivia that I do know is that there is only one actor who has appeared in all of the Crow films. Just one actor.
Who's that?
That would be Magic the Raven, who played the Crow.
Ah, so same bird.
Yep.
Cool.
It's
I like that.
literally from all the way up until I suppose the most recent one, because the last one was 2005. So I don't think that Raven's probably around anymore. But
No.
I did think that was an interesting piece of trivia that they got a Raven to play the Crow because they look better in Hollywood, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you get someone in the 30s to play a teenager, it looks better, apparently.
The
But yeah, it was Magic the Raven played the titular Crow,
actual crow.
the actual Crow in the film, in all of the films.
Cool.
So
And I guess we need to move on.
we do
Time to
to City of Angels. Now, I know, Guy, you don't like this one.
No. That was
What
another waste of time at the feckin' cinema, wasn't it?
what didn't you like about it?
All of it.
It had a good soundtrack.
Not as good as the first.
Well, no, I got right. This is going to be the thing with Crow. My phone just went off and scared the crap out of me. I'm so sorry. Goofy just fell off my sofa, apparently.
Real life intrudes.
The one thing we're going to be saying now about this Crow City of Angels is, yeah, but it's not as good as the first one. And I think we kind of have to give it its due. It will
Really?
not, no matter how you deconstruct the two side by side, the original is always going to be better because it started the franchise. Well, it didn't start the franchise, but it started the cinematic franchise. It was the reason why the City of Angels one existed. But if you look beneath the surface with, again, layers, if you look beneath the surface of Crow City of Angels, I watched it a fair few times. I had it on DVD at one point, and my DVD player kept playing it from the beginning all day. And when you've got depression laying on a sofa, you ain't moving the press buttons, leave it alone. And I watched it several times over. And the more I watched it, the more I watched the subtle little bits with some of the characters, it's like there is a good film in here, but much like a lot of sequels, it got fucked over by studio interference.
Yes.
Apparently, there is a director's type cut out there somewhere where someone's found a load of the deleted scenes, deleted subplots, and things like that, and kind of re-edited it and uploaded it somewhere. I don't know where. I'm not 100% certain. But I personally think it it was a good underrated sequel in my opinion, just for certain scenes and certain little moments in it. Again, overall, not as good as the first one, but compared to Salvation and Wicked Prayer that came after it,
Guess what?
hindsight's a wonderful thing.
Guess what? Didn't watch them.
I only caught the arse end of Wicked Prayer.
I bet it was an arse end as well.
It was it was not good. It didn't even come across as a good made for TV movie of the late 2000, yeah, well, early 2000s. Like even the Sci-Fi Channel originals would look at that film and go, "You released that?" Like it was, and David Boreanaz was in it. You know, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I heard that. What? Yeah,
Yep,
he was in it. He played the bad guy in it.
my other half has a liking for David Boreanaz.
To be honest, right?
Now you've let that slip, I'm probably going to have to sit through it, aren't I?
Watch it on mute. You'll be fine.
Puts her on mute. Oh, Judy.
There we go. We've talked about the sequels. There you go. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, and the less said about the TV series, the better.
Oh, I watched
I'm not even
the pilot.
bothered.
I watched the pilot and
Really?
just,
Okay.
It was a rental, 5 videos for 5 nights for a fiver. It was 20
Oh,
bundle. I gave it a viewing just on brand recognition alone. Oh, The Crow, there's a new one. No, it's not. It's the plot of the movie done really, really wrong and really, really no, turn it off, burn it in a fire now. So
yep. There you
that was
go.
my view on it. But before we finish up, as Hollywood is known to do,
Mm, yes.
they will not leave the dead to rest. And they're remaking, or it is finished filming now. The Crow remake.
Mm.
Now, before I go on my rant, I'm trying to avoid one here. Rumor has it that this interpretation, as it's being described, not a reboot or remake, it's an interpretation.
I hate
Call it
it when they
whatever,
say
call it whatever you want. A reboot is a reboot, you know.
hmm
Paint a duck white, it's not a swan.
hmm
Trust me, I've tried. Bored college night, too much alcohol, excess white paint. Anyway,
Okay.
I've heard rumors that this remake, whatever it is, it's closer to the storyline of the original comic book.
Yeah.
And having done research between the differences between the book and the film, there
Mm.
are some big, big differences because in the comic book, Eric Draven wasn't a rock star. They weren't attacked in their apartment. They were just paranormal people who were driving along, broke down, a gang come across them. Same thing happened. They got,
Mm.
killed and everything. But yeah, and the rest of the story is different here. So I'm thinking if it does more follow the book and it's a better, closer adaptation of the book, I may give it a chance. If I start seeing trailers and I start seeing redone scenes from
Mm.
this, for me, untouchable classic, I will not give it a time of day. I won't.
Fair one. But hopefully we won't see it for ages because of the strikes.
From what I've heard, it's been slated for late next year.
Suits me.
I think it could come out late this century after we're all dead and fucking gone. There's, there's just certain to me, there's just certain films you should never remake. And with the legacy tied to this film and the tragedy tied to this film,
Mm.
the loss of Brandon Lee's life in bringing this book to the screen, making a remake of it is, in my opinion, a little bit disrespectful to him and his family.
Yeah, but Hollywood don't give a shit.
No. I mean, like I said, if it's a completely different story, it's just the Crow in name only. If
Mm.
I'm actually praying, I'm actually praying for once, let it be a remake in name only. Maybe then I'll give it a chance. But if they try to do it scene for scene, like that crappy Psycho remake that came out in the 90s, that one.
Yeah.
If they try something like that with it, I think they're gonna piss off an awful lot of
Yeah,
people,
there'll be a backlash.
and justifiably so. It's like you can't piss on the memory like that. You can't. But
Yeah.
that's just me. That's just my thought process. Whatever.
No, totally agree.
It's late. My
Totally agree.
coffee's wearing off.
Uh,
My
oh, we
kids
still
are
got
waking
shout
up
outs to go.
now.
But so yeah, there you go, people. We'll put a pin in it. The Crow.
For now, anyway, until the remake comes out, until we hear more news.
Mm,
But can definitely say, if you have never seen The Crow, unless you're under 20, you've got no excuse. You should have seen it by now.
correct.
If you haven't seen it, if some of our, I say younger viewers, I'm pushing 40. For me, a younger viewer is someone who's 20.
Yeah.
If some of our younger viewers who are watching this have never seen The Crow, Go and watch it
Yeah, get
because
out there.
it is proof that you can do a comic book movie at 97 minutes long, enjoyable
Mm.
97 minutes long, and it doesn't have to be a CGI buttfuck fest of green skinned aliens punching each other.
No, exactly. It's, practical effects, brilliant cinematography work, great story, great acting. All you need in a tiny package.
Exactly. It's like the best thing I can describe it is if you liked Batman 89, but you wanted it to be a bit more darker and a bit more violent,
Yes.
The Crow is for you.
Yeah.
You know, it's got that dark, gothic, moody edge, banging, amazing, stellar soundtrack, great cast, like not just the main character, but the supporting cast, all
Mm.
great actors. You know, there is not one bad part played in that film.
No.
Not one. There's not any parts where you see a character deliver a line and you go, oh, that's a bit wonky.
Yeah.
Was that their first take? You know, there was never any scenes like that. It is for me a perfect as a comic book movie can get, and for me, it will forever live in my black broken heart with a score of 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Oh, well, I will agree that 10 out of 10 for me. Definitely. Cool. And with that, it's time for some shout outs.
It is, yes. I will just get the old YouTube channel back up so I can
Get
check.
the shout outs out.
Well, a little bit of a shout out. We have
Yeah.
two comments from the Ginger Ninja JK
Yay, JK.
commented on our. I'm trying to look at the thing here in the corner.
Amateurish delivery.
It was the Console Wars Part 1.
Ah,
And he says, memories. It all began with the Intellivision for me. And then it was the C64 followed by the Amiga 500.
yeah.
And
I
the
remember.
NES and SNES, fond memories from all.
Ooh, a Nintendo boy.
Oh, yeah. And in our episode, Are Films and Shows Getting Too Long? Which ironically, our episode was longer than normal for that one.
Yeah, it was.
Said, welcome back. Just playing catch up. I'm glad I did. Awesome episode. And the fact that someone also agrees with me that The Crow City of Angels is a good movie, not compared to the OG, which is great, made my day. So,
Yeah,
JK, we're on the same page. We both like Crow City of Angels.
that's me in the corner then.
Yeah, back to you in the spotlight.
Well, I lost my religion years ago, but there you go. Yeah.
The only religion you've got is bad religion.
Yeah.
I'm swapping drinks over. I'm sorry, my coffee's gone cold. And then we have also on Twisted Metal episode
Oh,
show appeared on the show. Lee said, "Hello again. I'm here to stalk you. Also, I know more about the nameless game I played at my cousin's many, 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 many moons ago." So there we go. Someone who didn't even know what the game was called had played it.
hey, stop stalking us.
And also
Not
on the
done.
episode are films and shows getting too long. We have friend of the channel, son of the Pertwee, Mr. Tony Harris himself. Great to have you guys back. Really enjoyed this video. I'm in full agreement with you. Everything fully in full agreement with everything you said, especially about being able to watch 5 or 4 normal length films in an afternoon as opposed to maybe 2 3 hour epics. Thanks for the shout out, by the way. Really appreciate it. You're more than welcome, Tony.
Well, Tony, if it's great to have us back, then catch up with the fucking episodes.
Hey, yeah, why are you 3 episodes behind now?
Mm, mm, mm.
I'll get the glove. I'll get the pineapple.
I'll write your name on it in a Sharpie.
We love you, really, Tony.
Do we? Of
Well, I mean, yeah,
course we do.
I guess
Of
so.
course we do.
Yeah, we were only pulling your leg. We would pull something else, but we're not that close.
You should be so lucky. You're matron.
All right, Kenneth, calm down.
Sorry. Yeah. Wait, Sid, stop it. Right then. Well, that'll do us, folks. That's enough of the shout outs. We're gonna let it go because we're just getting silly now because we're
Yes,
tired.
we are. Sleep
And we get silly
deprivation
when
is
we're tired.
kicking in.
Yes. So we will be back next time talking about some old shite. I don't know.
Yeah,
Something.
well, we're in the pattern at the moment of we decide what we're going to film after we've stopped filming this one. So you don't
Yeah.
see it, but we know what's coming. I could say something else there, but I was really not going to. Right. Good night, everybody.
Yeah. Good night, all. Take it.
You've
Take
been the
care.
random
Take
man.
it there. I have. I've been Random Sid. Yeah.
Random Sid over there. Miss Violet over here. I've lost the will to live. We'll see you next time. Mwah.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye bye.
See you, folks. Bye bye.